It is with honor and privilege that I introduce Mr. Phil Bryant. Mr. Bryant was sworn in as Mississippi's 64th governor on January the 10th, 2012, capturing over 62% of the vote. Governor Bryant has long been an advocate for agriculture in his role in Mississippi legislature, and we are sure that support will continue during his years as Mississippi's chief executive officer. He was very supportive of Farm Bureau's effort to pass the eminent domain reform in 2011, was also pro-job measures like the Health Care Act, the Small Business Regulatory Flexibility Act, which are creating a solid foundation for Mississippi's success and economic vitality. Governor Bryant was also the recipient of Mississippi Farm Bureau's Friend of Agriculture at last year's state convention. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please help me welcome the governor of the great state of Mississippi, the Honorable Phil Bryant.
Hey, Randy. Hey, good to see you, brother. Appreciate you coming. Well, good afternoon. Now, Samantha told me to come way up here, and I always do what Samantha tells me to do, so here I am. Interesting topics, the last speaker. What a remarkable job he did, and he's absolutely right, particularly regarding communication. You know, we were not long ago with Cindy Hyde-Smith, and I'm very proud of Commissioner Cindy Hyde-Smith. When I was Lieutenant Governor and chose to appoint her as Senate Chairman of the Ag Commission, Ag Committee, I can assure you there were some of us good old boys in the Senate that some came to me and said, are you sure you want to do this? We just don't remember a woman being chairman of the Ag Committee, and I said, I believe I made the right decision, and I think the people of the state of Mississippi made the right decision when they chose her Agriculture Commissioner for the state of Mississippi. Now, I'm just waiting for that article from the New York Times or maybe CNN that talks about how we have a Republican Agriculture Commissioner in the state of Mississippi. I probably won't get to see that. But, you know, it is so important that we continue to try to reach out, to try to get the media to understand what farming is all about. As a young boy in Moorhead, Mississippi, nothing was more exciting to me than to be with my grandfather and my great-grandfather, who was alive at that time, who farmed cotton. And to hear the tales and how exciting it was to know what a good crop was going to be and how they worried about the weather and how they prayed on Sundays for God's benevolence. And it was the great earth that they reached to grow their living. And I can remember as a young child with my two older brothers walking across cotton fields, and it was so frustrating for me because they were big enough to go from the top of one row to the next, and my legs were so little I'd have to go down and up and down and up. But what lessons we learn. Isn't life about being down and up sometimes? Being not able to reach where perhaps someone else might be able to, that might be a little more talented, a little faster, a little bigger, but being able to keep up and, in fact, being able to even surpass that. So we keep reaching out. Cindy and I were at a middle school as the children there were enjoying fresh vegetables and fruits that were grown here in Mississippi, the Farm to School program. And to talk to those young children in Rankin County that had not grown up in an agricultural background, who still believe that corn just comes from cans. And to see the joy on their faces as the farmers explained to them just how it came about that they were able to enjoy those great blueberries. They literally took fruit to the classroom and vegetables to the classroom, and y'all probably know more about this program than I do, but they would hold them up and get the children to identify what they were. It was a little interesting at times to see a child think that a squash might be a pear and what you do with it. We're going to continue to work hard. Mississippi is so proud of its agriculture and the Farm Bureau and what it does. I was so very proud last November when a majority of Mississippians decided that it was not right to allow the government to take your land and give it to somebody else. Farm Bureau was so important. It was so important for you to get involved, for your membership, for all of this organization's influence, to come to bear, to let the legislature to know and to let the state of Mississippi know that Our land is our lives. And for the thought of someone by eminent domain to take it because others people could say we could generate more tax money on it if you just let us have it is not the thing that we would stand by and let happen. I was so very proud to see that the agricultural industry in Mississippi is responsible for $7.2 billion worth of income. Imagine that, $7.2 billion. And each year the legislature has about a 5.6, this year a $5.8 billion budget for the entire state of Mississippi. Agriculture produces so much of that. We continue to believe that the agriculture industry in the state of Mississippi adds so many jobs, about 29%. Think of that. Nearly 30% of the state's workforce is directly and indirectly involved in agriculture. So as we go out and we're excited about the aerospace industry, we get excited about the Southern Automobile Corridor, building ships on the Gulf Coast, and all those things are wonderful, but sometimes we just take for granted our great agribusiness in the state of Mississippi. In 2011, we hosted an agribusiness summit. We thought perhaps 75 or maybe 85 folks may show up. Nearly 300 farmers and ranchers came to that agricultural summit. And as we talked about the future of agriculture in the state of Mississippi and what the legislature could do, what leaderships could do, what could the governor do to help continue to promote agriculture? Well, oftentimes the answer was stay out of our way. Let us do our job. Make sure that you don't try to overregulate what we're trying to do. Make sure that we have laws that protect us. Last year we passed Senate Bill 2439, and it limited the liability to persons engaged in agritourism activities. Agritourism. Now I'll tell you, I was somewhat surprised by the growth and interest in agritourism. Those of us that are one generation from the farm never believed that people would bring their children to see what a farm looked like. But they will. I was fortunate enough to marry a young lady whose family has a farm near Allen, Mississippi, right next to Barlow. Y'all know where that's at. Well, it's outside of Hazelhurst on Highway 28. We still maintain that farm. It is the joy of my life when I have one weekend, if I can, or will be down there on Christmas, to be able to go back to the family farm. And all of the siblings and Deborah's mom, who's 90 years old, will be there. We've kept their grandparents' farm, and we enjoy it. My children had the wonderful experience of living part of their life in Rankin County, and then almost every weekend going to the farm and having that farming experience. I, like most men, have that great opportunity to bush hog. And you know what I'm talking about. Well, maybe you don't, because you might have to do it more than I have to, but I absolutely love it. You know, I thought of one day maybe we would develop a simulated bush hog system. Now listen to me now, guys. What we do is we'd have this helmet we could put on. We can sit in our recliners and we could bush hog. I bet your blood pressure, your temperature, the anger and anxiety of most of us that live in an urban world now would go down. Because when I get off of that tractor at the end of the day and look back and I see that beautifully cut pasture, there's that sense of accomplishment. Deborah will come out and say, you need to stop. We're going to have dinner. And I'd say, I'll be in just a little bit. Just please leave me alone. No one can reach me there. It seems it's only the time where me and the good Lord have an opportunity to talk and to think. The whining of the tractor and the bush hog seems to say that this is the right place for you to be. The horses are there, the sun's setting over those hills. You see that community, that opportunity. And I thought then, wouldn't we do well to bring all children to see this? So that all of those young men and women now who are struggling as they might to succeed in life could have the opportunity to see where we all come from, where we all really truly began. So I want to thank you for what you do. This morning I rose early and drove to Rankin County and met my two brothers, and as we like to often do, we go to the Pelahatchie Bay Trading Post for breakfast. I had to sort of get my vitamin G. And as I thought about the fresh eggs that I was having and the ham, that this morning realizing that it all came from you. That without you, we would have none of that experience, that we could be as if third world countries and see hunger in America. Now, I know on occasion you might see some news story that says we have food deserts. Have y'all heard of those in the Delta? The first time I heard of it, I couldn't believe it. I have a hunting camp that I go to near Chula, Mississippi, between Chula and Lexington, and they were saying Chula is a food desert. There are no fresh vegetables here. You see, they have to buy things out of the convenience store. I said, now, let me think for a moment. This is the Delta. I was raised here. My parents were farmers. You know, in the Delta, you could grow a rock if you just had the right conditions. And I told them, you know, when I was a kid, we had these remarkable things. They were called gardens. You could actually grow your own food. Cindy and I have talked, and maybe we'll talk more with Farm Bureau about putting gardens in middle schools throughout that food desert area. Think, if you would, what an experience it will be for those children to have a garden. There's enough land on every public school. I can assure you that they could have a wonderful garden here in Jackson. I was at Lanier not long ago talking to the principal about that. Let them have a garden. First off, it's a character builder, isn't it? Yeah, you get out there and cut okra in August or July, and that's a character builder. I made a deal with God one time out there doing that. Y'all made those. Lord, if you get me out of here, I am never coming back. That okra was itching me to death, and I was cutting it, but Mother always said, yeah, but you sure love it when we fry it up, don't you? But I want these children to experience that, and then I want them to learn about photosynthesis. I want them to bring it into the cafeteria and have it prepared and be able to enjoy what they grow. I think it will change their entire attitude, particularly about what you do, but about what their responsibilities ought to be. So I want to continue to work hard on that. Our forest industry is growing every day. We have plantation pines on the farm down in Barlow and near Allen. And we look to the future of those. Just this week I talked to another group of growers that are interested in coming here and investing in almost 97,000 acres that they have now. And because we talk of the process of being able to take cellulose products, primarily pine trees, and turn them into fuel oil. And I used to joke with people and say, if you can ever turn a pine tree into gasoline, we're your state. We are now doing that. In just a few weeks, I'll go as the first tanker is being filled by the Keyor Corporation in Columbus, Mississippi, at the refinery they have there. I know it's hard to believe. But when that process begins, we will be back in the woods. One of the things that we're going to have to do is make sure that we have young men and women that are continued to be involved in that industry. Not many loggers anymore pass that experience on to their sons. So workforce development within the agri-industry is so important. That's why I've asked the legislature to fully fund the ag units at our Mississippi universities. It is critical that we continue that support. I want to talk to you just a little bit about something else in Mississippi. It's called education. You see, we are in trouble in Mississippi. Now, I was raised in a blue-collar world. My dad was a diesel mechanic. When we were very young and lived in the Delta, he maintained the equipment on the farms. He was a World War II veteran that went off and fought in the South Pacific as a CB. He was a young man from Sullivan's Hollow. His dad had a team of mules and pulled logs out of the woods. He used to tell me that the first new pair of shoes he ever owned, the Navy bought for him. We used to laugh about that until my mother told me it was the truth. She was from Etabina. So now we look at where our state's at. 46% of the children in the state of Mississippi, nearly half in the third grade, can't read at a third grade proficiency level. As it gets worse on a national level at testing, at that level, 76% of 7th and 8th graders can't not read at a national level of proficiency, either in reading or math. 76%. There's no way we in a civilized society can maintain the economic development opportunities we seek here in Mississippi with that type of failure in education. So yesterday I unveiled our new plan for education. I said we need more choices like charter schools in areas where children need them the most. competition. Remove those invisible walls. You know, now you have a school district and you say nobody can go outside of this school district. It's like the Berlin Wall. And if you try to get outside of it, we'll send some detective to find you and bring you back into this failing school district. We're going to have to remove those barriers. We're going to have to say the very best teachers can be paid more than those that are doing a bad job. Now, that's a crazy concept, I know. It's called merit pay. But you know what I've found out? If you have someone that's doing a really good job and you pay them for the work that they put into the farm or into the classroom, they'll do a better job. You'll have a better employee. So we're going to have to look at not just paying people for longevity, but for their outcome in the classrooms. Oh, things that we talked about like opportunity scholarships that Louisiana and Georgia and Florida are using to say, if we might, companies can contribute to the opportunity scholarship and we'll take that money and have a scholarship into a non-public school for children who are trapped in D and F school districts. We're going to have to throw back the chains that have locked the doors of the school and told those children, even if you want to succeed, we're not going to let you out. We're going to keep you here. If we don't, 20 years from now, there'll be no workforce in Mississippi. There'll be no opportunity to bring in new industry. Your industry will be struggling because of the debt upon which the entitlement program will bring us. There's another article in today's Clarion Ledger. Now there is a battle of expanding Medicaid in the state of Mississippi. Now, I don't know how you will determine what effect Obamacare will have on you. Do you, if you hire someone to work part-time during the harvesting season, must you provide insurance for them? I'm not sure. Can they go on Medicaid during that time? You see, if we have an insurance exchange and they go on it to obtain insurance and they are below 138% of the poverty level, which is about $31,000 a year, then they're automatically sent to Medicaid. The Obamacare plan will expand Medicaid in Mississippi by nearly 350,000 Medicaid recipients. You can add that to the 640,000 that we now have on the Medicaid rolls. But politician after politician says, oh, we can't turn that money down. You see, the federal government promises us that they're going to pay 100% of it the first 2 years, and then we'll have to take the responsibility after that. How many times have we heard that story? I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you. Nearly 1 million Mississippians will be on Medicaid if this plan goes through. 1 out of 3. I will tell you now that will break this state. You will see dramatic tax increases or draconian cuts in other services. Now, they've abandoned the idea that we might be able to develop an economy where those individuals could get a job and go to work and buy their own insurance. I haven't, and I can't, and I won't. So as governor, we're going to say we're not going to expand Medicaid. We're going to try to make sure that people have some responsibility, that we offer opportunities through employment in the state of Mississippi. You see, if we continue to expand entitlements such as Medicaid, then what you have to pay in taxes will be so much that it will be even more difficult for you to make a living and raise your children here in Mississippi. This is going to be an epic battle. You will hear that I am unkind, that I am heartless, that I don't care about people who are poor. In fact, I do. I'm struggling to try to create an environment where those fine young men and women can get out of high school, get a job, and raise their children and live the American dream. Now, if that's wrong, then let it be. But it is what has built America since the very beginning. I pray that a benevolent God will allow us to continue to see the greatness of America in the individual spirit. And that those that write these editorials that say, oh, we must turn to government, it is our salvation. We must expand entitlements at every opportunity because it's free money. No money is free. We either have to manufacture it or borrow it. We grow it by raising your taxes in Washington, D.C. So we're going to continue to do things that I hope you will believe in and support, because I will do those things that you believe in. I love Farm Bureau. I believe you are the heart and soul of America. And the more of you we have, the better off we are. You see, we will continue to work hard to make sure that we have the America for our children that we have enjoyed, and that their opportunities will be greater than ours. Farm Bureau, God bless you for what you do, and thank you for having me today.
Governor, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today, and thank you for your support of Farm Bureau and for agriculture in the state of Mississippi. This is a small token of our appreciation of Mississippi commodities.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all have a great day.